4th time that I've worn one of his size.
All right, we're live.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call our special general committee meeting to order. And I'd like to apologize for 2 weeks ago not being able to make it. I forgot I was on vacation. So apologies to the board and this committee. But I would like to do a roll call. I am Lee Peterson, Chairman of General Committee and also Alderman for Ward 1.
Jim Waters, Alderman, Ward 6.
Bob Garza, Alderman, Ward 3.
Those are our members of the General Committee. Also, we have other committee members, city employees, department heads, and guests. So if we could just go around the room and introduce ourselves so we can have that on our minutes.
Sure. Jason Gallo, Administrative Services.
Scott Ryan, Hendersonville Police Department.
Jeff Sassy, Alderman, Ward 3.
Terry Goodwin, Alderman, Ward 4.
Jesse Ackenroth, Chief of Operations.
Mayor Jamie Clary.
Ryan Dickert, Hendersonville, citizen, and Ward 4.
Thank you very much. And we are implementing citizen comments. And I don't know if we had anyone sign up earlier tonight for this meeting. So, okay. Well, we will get ready. Have y'all had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes, twice.
All right, very good.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3 times.
Okay, perfect. I would like to have our agenda approved for tonight.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a proper motion and second to accept our agenda. And were you able to look at the minutes from June 13th?
So moved. And I'll second.
Okay.
I had to abstain last time, but this time I was actually here for the meeting.
All right, perfect. So we have reviewed and approved the minutes. And now we move on to citizen comments. No one had signed up tonight to speak. So we will move on down to the ordinances and resolutions. And our first one we have is ordinance 2023-15, an ordinance amending Hendersonville's Municipal Code Title I, Chapter 5, relative to public meetings of all governing bodies of the city. Mayor Clary, you are sponsoring this. Did you want to speak on that ordinance?
Sure, I'll be brief because we've talked about it in a couple of different committees, and I feel like we've given everybody a chance to have some input by email. Certainly, we still have the opportunity to get some input now, and when we get to the board level. What happened was the State of Tennessee General Assembly passed a law just a couple months ago and said that cities have to do a couple things. One of those is that we have to have public comments at most of our meetings. There are some exceptions, but we can't put restrictions on that. We can't put rules on that. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking the rules from the Board of Mayor and Aldermen and applying those to our 5 standing committees as well as some of the other committees. With, I think the only real big difference is that a person speaking publicly in one of these committees is limited to 2 minutes instead of 5. The reason for that is, it wasn't my idea. The reason for that is most of these meetings have a hard stop of an hour. And if we had 5 or 6 people take up 5 minutes, there goes half your meeting right there. Obviously, the committees can suspend the rules and hear from people longer and have presentations and have interaction with members of the community. But we felt like 2 minutes made sense. I can't think of anything else that really stands out that's different than what we typically do at the board level for public comments. You will see that we do have to advertise the agenda. We have to advertise 48 hours ahead of time. We have to give people the opportunity to sign up for public comments. But I think we have is pretty workable and pretty fair. Or what I'm proposing, I should say.
So essentially, we have always allowed public hearings, citizen comments at BOMA, but the state legislators just want us to implement this for committee meetings. Is that the gist of it?
Pretty much.
Okay.
This is just committees, not BOMA.
Right, BOMA isn't changing at all. We're keeping BOMA exactly the way that it has been. Yep.
Okay.
Does the board have any further
That was my only question.
discussions?
No,
Okay,
only question.
all right. Well, I am open for,
And I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 2023-15. Second.
okay, I've got a proper motion and a second. All of those in favor of accepting this ordinance 2023-15, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
All right, that passes unanimously, and we will, that's a positive recommendation to BOMA. All right, number 2 is ordinance 2023-16. And if I can just interject here, we also have a 2023-26. What is the difference in those two? Oh, one's an ordinance and one's a resolution.
There you go.
Thank you. I answered my own question.
One is the.
Nice talking to you.
One is appropriation, and the other is amended.
Good night, everybody.
I'll be here all week.
No wonder they look
You're
alike.
just now reading it, aren't you?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
you should have read it last night.
I even highlighted it.
He did. He actually
Okay.
highlighted it.
Okay.
Yes, let me go back. Mayor Clary, you are a sponsor on both of these. Would you like to speak in reference to both the ordinance and the resolution at once, or just the ordinance?
As much as I would like to speak on both of them, it would do a disservice if I didn't turn it over to Jesse and Commander Ryan.
Thank you very much.
So Commander Ryan is taking the lead on this. Hendersonville was selected as the agency to administer this VCIF grant, which is the Violent Crime Intervention Fund collaborative grant for Sumner County. So Commander Ryan has been the lead on this, has taken the lead for the entire county. And so it's a 100% match grant. So there's 100% reimbursement that we're going to get on this grant. So I will let Commander Ryan talk about what the grant will be for, but essentially it will be a $0 impact to the city.
So we have 6 other agencies outside of Hendersonville that are part of the collaboration. This was a competitive grant offered through the state. It's actually federal dollars, but being administered through the state. So this began with a think tank meeting to determine how we could serve each of the communities that were represented in law enforcement. And it boiled down to a product that is a premier product for both data and video integration, so that we will actually be moving to the forefront of technology and our capabilities. At this time, it's going to be for a period of 22 and a half months that we'll have access to a service, which involves a lot of multifaceted areas where we're going to have to be interacting not just with our community, but with other communities. And that's turned into a huge advantage in law enforcement now, because we have so many transient criminals that don't recognize boundaries. And we've learned that through extending our investigations into other jurisdictions, our ability not only to track people down, but to gather evidence, particularly video evidence in other areas, we're able to solve more cases right here at home. And in doing so, we're able to solve cases across jurisdictional boundaries. Video evidence is key. And that really is the highlight of the system that we're looking at. The system is called Fusus, and it involves also hardware solutions where we will engage the public to solicit volunteers that have cameras in place already and a Wi-Fi source, and we can install a device, and that would provide real-time access to those cameras that are run through a particular device. So in the data world, what we're able to do is have one login to this system, and it will incorporate or integrate the CAD system that we're already on from the county, where they can see information coming in to dispatch calls, and you can see the units that are going to those areas. And you'll have a map in addition that will populate with symbols that indicate, hey, this is a location where we have a live feed camera access. So you have supervisors that can literally be watching what's going on and providing that information to the officers, or other officers watching what's going on to see suspects leaving. You know, if we have a 5-minute response time, chances are bad guy's going to be gone. Somebody can already be on that remotely looking at that location to see what's happening. If you're talking about a park type area, you can literally, you know, and you've got a huge fight that's going on in a park, and we're online with those, you can have people watching where your suspects are, the kind of threats that are posed, so that we can have a more informed and safer response to these areas. In addition, there will also be a camera registry set up where individuals from the community, whether it's businesses or even just private residential systems, and they would like to register their cameras with us, we would be able to see those camera locations on a map. And just by drawing a geographic shape with one email, hit a request to all of those cameras that are registered. And that request will contain a link, which goes to another facet of the program. They can upload their video, their relevant video, to a secure storage in the cloud. So we're eliminating chain of custody issues by enabling members of the community to do direct uploads into an evidence vault in the cloud. And this system will enable us to share those video evidence pieces with the surrounding jurisdictions and the district attorney's office, so that we don't always have the CDs or the jump drives, that there's always a chance that something's going to go wrong with them, or they're going to be lost or left somewhere. It could fall into the wrong hands. It enables us to have a secure sharing mechanism to those in law enforcement and the justice system, so that we don't have those same worries and should not come under attack for chain of custody issues with digital evidence.
So Eagle Eye is coming.
Potentially. It's strictly a volunteer thing. It's nothing that would be forced on anybody. And that's a great part of this program, is that it requires us to engage with the community on a constant basis, and not just our community. We'll be in contact with members of Gallatin's community, and they will be with ours as well, because we have this greater potential to recover video evidence. The program also has additional features that will enable us from a command position. For instance, would be, we'll take the parks as an example. If we're online with this system, we can actually upload blueprints for the different areas that we may consider critical or vulnerable to attacks, so that we have actual maps, not just shapes that you see on like a Google map or something. We can upload floor plans. Say if we want to upload floor plans of a hospital in the event that we have an active situation there, we can see those from the car. This is something that every responding officer would have access to. You can see those from the car or from the couch or wherever you may be from the office. And we can utilize a module of this program to start directing online in real time, to set perimeters, to assign officers to specific locations, and to pass on information so that everybody can see it in real time, almost like we're in a conference room planning, but we're not taking that time to be in the conference room planning. We're able to go directly to the scene and see this stuff, these directives pop up online real time. So you'll see this labeled as a real-time crime center. It's not a traditional real-time crime center, but this is the new age of digital real-time crime centers. So we're looking at a period of 22 and a half months to be able to utilize this service.
It would take that long to get it set up.
I've already been working behind the scenes to have everything in place and ready to go. The second that we have a green light on this and we're able to execute a contract with the company, which my target date would be August 15th. That's when they will start the funding for this.
Okay.
soon as we execute that, we've got a plan with the company and with the different agencies where we're going to start a public campaign so that we can get in front of as many people as possible, get the word out there, and start building the registries and start building the mapping and the camera locations to get devices installed where people want those devices installed. And there will be some scrutiny as to where they go. This is violent crime initiatives funding. So our target is violent crime, and we hope to reduce violent crime with this program. So, you know, if somebody's out on the very tip of a peninsula, it's not likely that that's a highway for violent criminals. It may be that we're looking for commercial areas that have exterior cameras where we can see a lot of range to catch passing cars, because we're not completely sewn up with LPR cameras at this point. One additional aspect that is not a part of the actual program are additional video equipment so that we can utilize in areas where we may not have that coverage that's needed to catch things. So, well, we would be talking about, if you've seen the pole cams out at, say, the Freedom Festival, and they crank up the mast,
Yeah, yeah.
got the little camera at the top. We're going to look at portable solutions for that. And what we've been able to manage with the amount awarded, I think we'll be able to obtain at least 3 systems that have varied means of deployment. And again, that will be shared throughout the county on an as-needed basis. So this is really cutting edge. This is a huge advancement for a city like
And
ours.
Hendersonville will be the primary.
Correct. We are the lead agency from the standpoint of we produce the grant as you see it there. And if you notice within the accountability for the grant, essentially I am the guy that's going to be responsible to make sure things are utilized the way they're supposed to be, that the community is engaged the way it's supposed to be, and each agency will have a representative that will provide me with the needed information and help me to coordinate for the other jurisdictions. But I'm the choke point.
Okay.
I'm going to be really busy for a while if everything falls into place.
You guys have any questions?
Question.
Yeah.
The last part you just mentioned for this, about the raising the cameras up, is that included in this grant? Is that separate?
No, that is, it's separate from the FUSIS program, but it is a part of this grant funding.
It is part of it?
It is.
Okay.
I'm good.
This is going to be administered through Hendersonville Police Department, correct? So this system will be set up in our police department. How do you share that with the Sumner County Sheriff, Gallatin, Goodlettsville, Portland, Millersville, Westmoreland? Do they have access to like monitors to view? And also, how many camera locations do you hope to set up?
This is a cloud-based program, so it's just like everybody can go home and hit the internet individually on your system. So that's how agencies will access this particular program, and it will be tailored to each agency, the type of users that they want. And what I mean by that is who can access from each agency. You know, there may be one agency that only wants detectives to access, so they can set it up like that. But we're looking at an all access for a response standpoint. The devices for our ability to live stream, in total, we're looking at about 167 devices, and they are all of differing capabilities. So there are different categories within that, and those will be installed on an as-needed basis as we generate buzz within the communities, and people say, hey, I want to be a part of this. I want one of those on my system. As long as it's a relevant location, you know, at the Walmart over a self-checkout is not going to be a relevant location for a violent crime. So that's out already. But some of these devices may take 5 lines. of video feed. Others can take up to 50 lines of video feed, depending on the location. So we've got to do some puzzle piecing together to find the right device for the right locations as they come in. And it's going to be a campaign to try and get as much of the community engaged as possible so that we can do that. And it, a lot of times on the front end, we were looking at this, well, who's getting how many devices or whatever, how are we going to divvy this up? Well, Hendersonville, we're administering this. All of that stuff I'm responsible for. It will come through me. We will identify the needs and we will designate the equipment as it comes. And, if 100 devices end up in Gallatin because they've got that much community engagement, they've got that much violent crime issues going on, and the rest divide 67 amongst them, so be it. Whatever is going to be effective for us to target violent crime, that's how we will divvy out the equipment.
Okay, I'm good.
Well, Sergeant,
Excuse me, where will this be located in the office?
It's remote. It's remote location.
Okay,
We're able to access this from anywhere we have Wi-Fi or we can get a cell signal. We will be able to access this. It does come also with the mobile application, so that we can literally have officers that have that on their phone.
Yeah.
If that is activated, there is an emergency button that they can hit from their cell phone, and it will automatically geolocate, and everybody will be able to see real time where that signal is coming from on their map. So there's another element of officer safety, but it's completely remote. You don't have to be at a particular location. I can sit in my car and see everything that I've just described.
man,
This is very cool.
It's awesome.
it sure.
Very cool. I'll make a motion.
I'll
that-
second that motion.
There you go.
No question in my mind.
No,
Yes, thank you, Sergeant Ryan. We appreciate that. Thank you for being proactive. Lieutenant?
Commander.
Commander.
Promoted me twice in this meeting. What's that other meeting called?
I know. No, there's a
That's
ticket,
like-
there's a ticket in your future.
It's like going there Friday when I'm a corporal.
I wasn't in the military.
That's okay. I forgive you.
Commander Ryan, thank you for being proactive, applying for this grant and being awarded the grant. I can't imagine anyone that would be critical of this, where we're trying to reduce and combat violent crime in the city and across the entire county. So thank you very much. Okay, well, we do have a proper motion and a second to vote on this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 0. That also goes to BOMA for positive recommendation. So we can move on to item number 3, which is the resolution for the Violent Crime Intervention
I'll make a
Fund.
motion, we approve that.
Absolutely, you sure can. And a second. All those in favor of the resolution 2023-26, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, 0. That also passes unanimously, 3-0. Thank you very much. We appreciate that information and excited that we can provide that for Hendersonville. Sad we need it, but anything we can do to keep our officers safe and our community as well. Thank
At
you.
least he didn't call you private, Ryan.
Yes, again, for the record,
There's time.
I apologize, Commander.
All right.
I was thinking of Private Ryan, the movie.
Yeah. No, don't go down that path.
Yeah.
That was too easy.
I'm sorry.
Low hanging fruit, low hanging fruit.
Can I ask him a question just off the subject? How's our car break-ins, our car thefts in Hendersonville? Are you at liberty to tell us about that?
Man, I can tell you anything you want to know about crime in Hendersonville. Our car break-ins and car thefts, those are not labeled as violent crimes. Those are considered property crimes throughout the state. We identified several years ago, specifically 2017, that the perpetrators committing those crimes were the ones that were using the stolen cars and the guns that were stolen in other jurisdictions to commit homicides, robberies, drive-by shootings, other types of aggravated assault, and other crimes utilizing those stolen weapons and stolen vehicles. Part of this grant, if you read all of the detail, which I don't blame you if you don't read all of that, it's a long grant. You will see that Hendersonville has been successful in lowering violent crime by attacking these particular crimes, and we hit them with a vengeance. You break into a car, we treat that like a triple homicide in the park. We hit it with everything that we can, and as a result of that, we've watched directly our violent crime, particularly with armed robberies, and these are parking lot robberies that there's no telling how many happen just a mile down the road from Hendersonville. I believe last year we dropped our number to 3. That is unheard of anywhere. And we've done it by attacking these property crimes that we know are only gaining traction and leading to violent crimes in other places. So those activities are constantly going. Hopefully you'll see something in the news about an arrest where we're going after some of the old school that we hammered in 2018, 2019 timeframe. Guess what? They got out from the first go around. They're back again, and we're going to hammer them again. We got papers going right now.
Good job. Good
Excellent.
job. We appreciate your service.
Okay. Let's go to item number 4. This is ordinance 2023-17, an ordinance amending Hendersonville's Municipal Code Title I, Title II, and Title 20 relative to the purpose and structure of city boards and committees. And Jesse or Jason, which one of you would like to speak on this?
I'll take the lead on it, if you don't mind.
Not at all. And I think this is just basically housekeeping, because I
Yes,
think
sir.
we're removing some committees and adding new ones.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah,
So
please.
It's mostly housekeeping. We thought it was a good time to do it because of the legislation that we just heard about, where we're going to have citizen comments now. So as we're going through committee structure and thinking which committees need to have citizen comments, we looked through the municipal code, and there were some committees that no longer meet. There are some that do. Some of the number of participants for some of the committees weren't established. Some were much higher than other ones. So it was a lot of housekeeping, and we kind of condensed the information and cleaned it up.
I just have a comment on that.
Yes.
I actually like what we're doing here, but I noticed in my folder, I had 2 committee possible appointees that may come up. I don't know if they're going to come up tonight at BOMA or not, but it seems till this is approved, there shouldn't probably be any people nominated for committees because we don't know what's being reduced. In my opinion, nothing's being added to.
Correct. So both Beautiful Hendersonville and Arts Council, because Arts Council basically was the MAC before. And so when we said, hey, we have an Arts Council, and the MAC kind of separated on its own. Well, our municipal code was written so that the Arts Council was really MAC. So we had this board of directors in there, which we don't really have with our Arts Council. So we just said, okay, like with our Arts Council, let's make it similar to other committees. So let's have 7 members. And the same thing with Beautiful Hendersonville. Let's have 7 members similar to other committees. So I think if there's folks who are, suggested to go onto Arts Council or onto Beautiful Hendersonville, that may be in excess of 7 before this gets passed. There is a mechanism in here on how they still complete their term, but that may be a discussion that BOMA wants to have. Do we want to add members to these committees and then a week later pass an ordinance that restricts the number
Right.
to 7, and we just voted in number
Well,
9 and number 10.
it takes someone's personal time and energy, obviously, to join a board. And I understand what we're doing here. It just seems, sad that someone commits their time and energy to be on a board now. They're last man or last woman out.
Yeah, and it would, so if someone got voted into either Beautiful Hendersonville or Arts Council between, like tonight and it doesn't pass BOMA until, 2 weeks from now, they would still serve their entire term. And then when the term expired, then they could either reapply or they could not reapply, but the number would be capped at whatever limit BOMA sets at that
Right.
point.
Okay. Okay, makes sense.
Okay, any more discussion?
No, you hit it on the head.
All right. Well, can I get a motion for ordinance 2023-17?
So move.
And I'll second that.
Got a proper motion and second. All those in favor of ordinance 2023-17, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 0. That passes unanimously. Item number 5 is resolution 2023-27, a resolution authorizing the city's administrative services department to apply for public entity partner safety grant for the purchase of safety and loss prevention items. And Mayor Clary, you're the lead on this. Did you want to speak on its behalf, or?
I would do a poor job compared to Jesse or Jason.
Okay, maybe, okay, Jason?
Sure, I'll be happy to take lead on this one. So public entity partners is who we utilize for our workers' compensation and liability insurance. They offer different grants throughout the year. This particular one is a 50-50 match, up to $4,000 for items that are purchased related to employee safety. So for example, the vests that our road crew wear, or gloves or goggles. In the past, I understand we've done it for even like the safety cones. So they will reimburse us for the purchase of that equipment in order to keep our employees safe. Like I said, it's a match, so it's 50-50. They do allow us to go back as well. So items that we purchased last fiscal year are still eligible to be
Okay.
submitted.
That was my question.
That's good.
So
So prior to that though.
Yeah.
We didn't have any 50-50 match. We just spent the city's money.
right.
So it's a win-win.
Right.
Okay.
Sure is. Good point.
Mr. Chairman, question, Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
It's some of the grants that we apply for, they require that the city pass a resolution ahead of time. We still have to come back and actually appropriate the money with an ordinance.
Okay, we will do that. I will take free money all day long.
You got $1?
Okay,
Question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to spend this money before we're qualified? Is that?
So it could have been money we spent already from last year. So when we purchased gloves or vests from last year, we can submit those receipts.
Explain this $8,000 that I'm reading.
So it's a 50-50 match up to 4,000. In other words, if we spend 8,000, and we're approved, they would do 4,000 of that. So
But you got to show you spent 4,000.
we have to show that we spent 8,000 to
8,000.
get the 4,000 back. It's half. Whatever you spend, half up to 4,000. So if I spend 2,000, I only get 1,000 back. If I spend 4,000, I get 2,000 back.
Gotcha. Okay.
And how many years does this go, or is it just 1 year?
This is, I think, like their 15th year or something doing it. This is not their first year doing this. This is just, I think, their second or third time. It only goes 1 year back,
Okay.
and then the current budget.
But, and does it go forward? Is that,
It can, but I think we have a better chance of securing the grant if we use the receipts. And I've had departments already submit in preparation for this.
Again, this is just for the employees' safety, right?
Yes, sir.
do you have any ballpark figure of how much we normally spend on these list of items for our employee safety?
I don't have those figures. I know we spend more than that because as I talked with fire and police, just the purchase of like the latex gloves and, their protective equipment throughout the year exceeds that.
it's heavily
So-
expensive.
Every chance we get where we can get some money back is kind of what I'm.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, again, thank you for applying for the grant and having it awarded. We're really doing well on that department, writing grants and getting funding. So we appreciate that. Any other discussion on resolution 2023-27.
No, but I'll make a motion that we approve 2023-27.
Second that motion.
All right, we have a proper motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? That passes unanimously. All right. We're going to move on to Resolution 2023-28, a resolution amending the job classification list and pay tables to correct a clerical error for the city of Hendersonville. And I believe this is for a criminal investigator position that must have just been overlooked.
It just was listed with the wrong grade instead of a police grade. It was
Okay.
listed as a general grade.
All right.
So
Seems
2-letter change.
straightforward.
I don't think that needs much discussion. I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Second.
Okay. Got a proper motion and second on that. All those in favor of Resolution 2023-28 say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, 0. That passes unanimously as well. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 7, Resolution 2023-29, a resolution establishing a code of conduct for members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Mayor, would you like to speak on this particular item? I know we have discussed that before in general committee, and I'm glad to see that we have a resolution with items listed on here.
So keep in mind, appreciate that, we have a code of ethics where there are actually penalties involved. This is a code of conduct, is how we anticipate that aldermen should behave. That's everything from how they behave at board meetings to answering email to public, that kind of thing. Maybe 3 or 4 of these were mine. We had some input from several aldermen, from 3 or 4 people in the public, from former aldermen, and some staff. So narrowed it down to 12. There might be more. I'm certainly open to adding something. But this is just what the best way to describe this is your expectation of behavior for all members of the board.
I read them all, and this, not the sad part, but I guess it's important that we have these in writing, but most of these are pretty common sense. But common sense doesn't always play into the story as it should. But I thought it was all reasonable and understandable.
Because we are all elected officials. However, essentially, we're city employees as well. So I see why we need to have a code of ethics as well as a code of conduct for each member. And Mayor, I will add to this list tonight in BOMA, or can I add that now?
Either way, if you add it now, it's just going to be an amendment to BOMA. But you would get the opinion of this full committee if you want.
I will run this past the committee. I have a number 13, and it reads, refer all media inquiries to the mayor's office or public information officer. That way we're all on board and we're not sending different messages out in case there's
I like that, Lee.
an instance, Commander Ryan alluded to an active situation and media would be contacting everybody. The mayor may be tied up and they would contact you. I would just feel more comfortable if we referred everyone to one person. So that was just my only addition.
I like it. I mean, look, we are a board of 12 with the mayor, and the reality is we're going to be different in a lot of ways, but at the same time, we are the team of Hendersonville. So I like the fact that, we can't go rogue and do something crazy according to our code of conduct.
Would you want to bring it before BOMA, or just leave it like it is?
Well, if both of you have agreed to it, I will bring it up tonight as an amendment.
Agreed.
Okay.
I got a question, Mr. Chairman. If I may?
Yes, sir.
We're not doing it tonight.
Do what?
We'll do that in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks.
5 weeks?
4 weeks.
It won't come up, it'll be the next one.
Right, which is at the end
Next,
of
it'll be the
August.
next meeting.
Did I miss the question?
No, not yet.
I was
Okay.
going, yes, I was going to amend that tonight, but it will be in 5 weeks
I
instead.
didn't think so.
Before we get lost here, explain number 3 to me, either one of y'all,
Uh,
On page 87?
on page 87, yeah.
okay.
Promptly return telephone calls, emails, and all other city-related communications to whom?
It's a good question. So I had intended this to be from the public. If the public calls you or sends you an email, I think there's an expectation to return them at some point. But maybe I need to add that in there.
As far as I'm concerned, as an alderman in Ward 6, I do that. I mean, it's like the Bible to me.
Yes.
If you call me, I'm gonna return your call.
Well, I agree, but I had a situation where someone called the city and not me, and then the city reached out to me and said someone in your ward. So maybe that's the city-related materials, I guess, or city-related communication.
You don't get many calls yourself?
No, I get plenty, but I had one that didn't come right to me. I get plenty, trust me. But their comment was not uncommon. They said, "I'm not too sure who my ward people are." We get that. I know,
Yes.
Jeff, you get it too. And so they'll call the city first.
Would you like me to add at the end of that, it says city-related communications from residents?
That's where it's from.
I think it clear in my mind
Okay.
for what it's worth.
That's the only, that's,
Okay. I will make that amendment in 4 weeks, not 2 weeks, not tonight.
Number 9, prepare for and prior to all such meetings.
I'm sorry, do I need to read that?
I don't know what it means.
There might have been a word taken out of there.
Huh?
Oh, yes, that was a longer sentence that I shortened. It did not do a good job of it. Just expecting all of us, we come to meetings that we're prepared. It's that simple.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems really simple, but
Yeah.
trust
Say
me.
that again, please.
It's just when you come to city meetings that you come prepared.
Well, it doesn't affect you, Jim, because you've got more paperwork than
Yes.
anybody.
Well, maybe he's talking to you then.
He could be talking to me.
I'm not talking to anybody specifically.
Just kidding, just kidding.
I know.
And if anybody sees something between now and then, I'm happy to look at it and happy to consider an amendment.
Yes, I think those 3 already should do it, but we will review that and also let BOMA review that as well in 5 weeks.
Can you send me your verbiage when you have a second?
Yes.
No rush.
Okay, any more discussion on item 7, resolution 2023-29, establishing a code of conduct for members of BOMA?
I move that we approve.
Okay, proper motion?
We still need a second.
Wait a minute, I haven't seconded it yet.
I know.
What about the code of ethics that you mentioned here several months ago? Is that part of this?
So the code of ethics is already in the Hendersonville Municipal Code. And that's more about conflicts of interest and about using city information for personal benefit, that kind of thing. This is really more just about your behavior with the public and each other.
But I was really thinking about Alderman Goodwin. She talks all the time, on the board. I can't get a word in edgewise. And
So Robert's Rules of Order restricts everybody to 5 minutes at a time. The hard part about that, and it's a conversation that we're going to have at some point. And then I realize you're not really hitting on that one item. But the hard part about that is if we have somebody and they can speak twice on an item. The hard part about that is keeping up with, are they speaking on the amendment? Are they speaking on the main motion? Or are they speaking on an amendment that comes later? Or are they later speaking on the main motion? It's just hard to keep up. However, if y'all want me to start enforcing the 5-minute time limit, that's very objective.
I'll tell you something else, excuse me, I wish you would do, since you mentioned that. A lot of times you'll let Joe talk, then me talk, then Joe talk again.
Okay.
without letting that lady talk or let him talk.
Okay.
That's not right.
I try not to do that. However, if y'all two are having sort of a conversation and answering some questions, I usually let y'all do that. But there's also I'm supposed to keep a balance between people for and against, and people who haven't spoken yet. So you're exactly right. If somebody else hasn't spoken yet, I'm going to tend to go there. But if you're sort of answering each other's questions and it can get us over a hump, so to speak, then I usually let that happen.
Well, that's different. That's
Okay.
okay.
Feel free to call me out up there and say, hey,
I'll push that button.
okay.
He may not call on you.
We just need to let Joe
What?
speak.
Yes.
I said he may not call on you if you push it.
He made the motion. I second it.
He did say.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a proper second. All of those in favor of resolution 2023-29, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? 0. That also is a positive recommendation to BOMA
Thank you.
with future amendments. All right, we will move on to other agenda items. We didn't add anything, so I will move
I have nothing.
on to other business. And
We're good.
do we have any other business to discuss?
No, I think I'm good with that.
I'm thinking.
Yes, I knew you would be. We've had a lot of items tonight. So again, thank you for attending the special called meeting
Thank you.
of the general committee.
Make
And-
a motion with adjourn.
I was going to ask for that.
I can second that one quite easily.
All right, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 0.
Good meeting.
Thank you very much.
Your
That
appointee
concludes
for the
general
Parks
committee.
PA Bowl.
Good.